Hello everyone, I am Nidhi Shukla, an IITian, and today we are going to start one of the most important chapter of inorganic chemistry, that is periodic properties. Many of you have already requested for this chapter, so today I will take you through it. We all know that periodic property is basically the backbone of inorganic chemistry and it is very crucial for all the JEE and NEET aspirants. So let's get started. So before starting this chapter students, we should know that why we are doing the classification of periodic table. हम क्यों periodic table का classification करते हैं? This is very important to understand. As you all know, जब हम लाइब्रेरी में जाते हैं, so what happen? Basically लाइब्रेरी में हमारी जो books होती हैं, they are arranged in a proper way so that whatever the book we want, we can go and directly search the book from there. इसका मतलब क्या है कि हम बुक्स को वहां पे इस तरीके से अरेंज करते हैं कि व्हेन वी आर गोइंग और एंटरिंग इन अ लाइब्रेरी इट विल नॉट वेस्ट अवर टाइम. वी नो दैट विच सेक्शन हैज विच टाइप ऑफ बुक, विच सब्जेक्ट बुक क्लियरली. In the same way, if we talk about the periodic table, in the periodic table, why we are doing the classification? So basically, ताकि हम क्या कर सकें, systematic study कर सकें जो भी elements हमें nature में मिलते हैं उनकी. So if I talk to undergo a systematic study of various elements found in the nature. Second, so that we can classify the elements in the various groups and periods and we can do a comparative study of the elements and their compounds. ताकि हम क्या कर सकें, जितने भी एलिमेंट्स हैं उनको ग्रुप्स और पीरियड्स में डिवाइड कर सकें और उनकी एक कंपैरेटिव स्टडी कर सकें. इट हेल्प अस टू एनालाइज द पीरियोडिक ट्रेंड्स एंड द वेरियस इंपॉर्टेंट प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ एलिमेंट एंड कंपाउंड, जिससे कि जो भी एलिमेंट्स एंड कंपाउंड्स हैं हम उनकी पीरियोडिक प्रॉपर्टीज को प्रॉपर तरीके से क्या कर सकें, एनालाइज कर सकें. सो दीज आर द थ्री रीजन दैट वी नीड टू स्टडी द पीरियोडिक टेबल और वी नीड टू मेक द पीरियोडिक टेबल. करेक्ट. नाउ before that, firstly we should know that what is a description of period, what is a description of group, how many blocks are there, what type of elements are there in the periodic table. So I am starting with the description of periods. So if you know, in a periodic table आपने clearly देखा होगा there are some columns and there are some rows. So that horizontal rows, the horizontal rows are known as periods. Horizontal rows are known as periods. And how many periods are there? Basically there are 7 periods in the periodic table. First period की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो how many elements are there? In case of students, first period there are 2 elements. What are the elements? These are hydrogen and helium. When I talk about the second period, how many elements are there? There are 8 elements: lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. If I talk about the third period, there are also 8 elements: sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine and argon. In case of fourth period, how many elements are there? There are 18 elements from potassium to krypton. The atomic number of potassium is 19 and the atomic number of krypton, which is a noble gas, is 36. If I talk about the period number 5, there are 18 elements, which is rubidium to xenon. The atomic number of rubidium is 37 and xenon is 54. If I talk about the period number 6, the total elements are 32 from cesium to radon. The atomic number of cesium is 55 and the atomic number of radon is 86. If I talk about the 7th period, there are 32 elements from francium to oganesson, which is 87 and 118. So we have classified the horizontal rows in 7 periods are there. Basically these horizontal rows are known as the periods and there are 7 periods in the periodic table, out of which first period has how many elements, students? These are 2 elements. Second period has 8, third period has 8, fourth period has 18, 5 has 18, 6 has 32 and 7 has 32. It is very easy to learn. Okay. Now if I talk, one of the important properties or one of the important thing is this, the number of valence electron. If I talk that the number of valence electron in a particular atom decides the position in the periodic table. Basically किसी भी एटम में जो वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन होते हैं वो उसकी पीरियोडिक टेबल में पोजीशन को डिसाइड करता है. So this is all about the description of period. Even I had made one classification here. It is period number 1 to 7. Clearly written the number of elements, and the name of elements. And one of the important thing is, student, if I ask you which is the shortest period, so you can say now that period number 1, which has 2 element, is the shortest period. If I talk about the short period, so you know that period number 2nd and 3rd, there are 8 elements, so these are short period. If I talk about the 4 and 5, how many elements were there? 18, so it is a long period. If I talk about period number 6 and 7, how many elements were there? 32, so these are the longest. So basically 1 is the shortest and 2 are the short, 2 are the long, and 2 are the longest period. So students, till now we have studied the description of period. Moving to the next topic, which is what? Description of group. Now, as you all know, in the periodic table, you have seen there are some vertical columns, right? So these vertical columns are called as group. I can show you here. You can clearly see in this diagram, in this image, basically there are, you can see this is a vertical column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, correct? So these 18 columns, the vertical columns are known as what? We call them as group. So we can write that vertical columns are called group. And how many vertical columns are there, students? There are 18 vertical columns. So how many groups are there? Basically there are 18 groups. You can clearly see here. Now if I talk about this group number 1 and group number 2, these group 1 and 2 are called basically S block elements. What we call them as S block elements. And the general configuration of these S block elements is, if I talk, these S block elements have general configuration for 1 to group number 1 and group number 2 has NS 1 to 2. If I talk about these elements, for example, this group from 13 to 18 students, so this group number 13 to 18 has general configuration. Group number 13 to 18 has general configuration NS2 NP 1 to 6. For example, if I say that group 13, so group 13 has specifically, the 13 will have NS2 NP 1 to 6. 14 will have NS2 NP2. 15 will have NS2 NP3. 16 will have NS2 NP4. 17 will have NS2 NP5 and 18 will have NS2 NP6, correct? So the elements from group number 13 to 18 have general configuration NS2 NP1 to 6, and the elements of group 1 and 2 have general configuration NS 1 to 2. What does it mean? It means that the group 1, which is the group 1, has general configuration NS1 and 2 has general configuration NS2. It means they have the 1 electron in the valence shell in group 1 and 2 electron in the valence shell in the second one. Okay. Now if I talk about the representative element, this is very important, as I already discussed recently just now about the S block and P block elements. The P block elements are from group number 13 to 18. So the elements from group number 13 to 18 and group number 1 to 2 are known as what? Students, they are known as representative elements. What we call them as representative elements or normal elements. So the representative elements are group 1, 2 and 13 to 18. The outermost shell of these elements is incomplete and they have a valence configuration NS1 to 2 and NP1 to 6. So collectively are known as representative elements. Okay. Now you can see in this diagram that from this one to this one, student, group number 3 to 12, what they are called? Basically they are called as D block elements. What we are calling them? We are calling them D block elements. So group number 13 to 12, okay, I will write here that group number 3 to 12 are known as what? They are known as D block elements. 4. These D block elements are also known as what? they are also known as transition element. What we call them as? We call them as transition elements. Now student, you should think why we are calling them transition element. Transition elements means those elements which have partially filled, filled d orbital. Okay, so they have incomplete, or we can say partially filled d orbital. That is why they are known as what? They are known as transition element. Except the group number 12, in which the elements zinc, cadmium and mercury, they have completely filled d orbital, completely filled d orbitals. That is why they are not known as transition elements. We do not call them as transition element. Now coming to the next thing, there are, you can clearly see, you can see this series, right? This type, there are two series, correct? So basically in this, the elements, these are the elements from atomic number 58 to 71 and from 90 to 103. They are known as F block element, but they are known as F block element. This is coming after atomic number 57, which is lanthanum. Okay, so this 58 is after 57, which is lanthanum. After lanthanum, we have 14 elements from 58 to 71, which are known as what? They are known as lanthanide. Okay. So students, you can clearly see here, this is, there are two series, right? There are two series F block elements. So the atomic number is from 58 to 71 and for this it is 90 to 103. They have 14 elements. How many elements they have? They have 14 elements in this first series and the 14 elements in the second series. So they are known as, if I write here for these elements, so basically from 58 to 71, they are called as lanthanides. What we call them, student? They are lanthanides. And from 90 to 103, they are known as actinides, correct? This is 58, which comes after Z atomic number 57, which is lanthanum. 90 comes after atomic number 89, which is actinium. Okay, and they are known as F block elements, correct? Now you can see here, so now you can see here that what are the group 1, 2 and 13 to 18 elements are called? We call them as representative or normal elements. Group 3 to 12, they are D block elements. 58 to 71, they are lanthanides. 90 to 103, we call them as actinides. Left hand side elements are known as metal, and the right hand side elements are known as non-metal. Why we call them metal and non-metal? We will study it when we are studying we'll do the study of periodic properties. 18th group is known as noble gas group. The elements which are present in the 18th group, they are known as noble gas element. Okay, so this is all about the description of group. So students, till now we have studied the description of periods and the description of group. Now we are going to study some common name of the elements which we have arranged in the respective groups. What are their common names and why they are called so? So if I talk about this group number 1, you can see here, they are called as alkali metals. What we call them? We call them as alkali metal. And why we call them as alkali metal? The reason is due to formation of strong basic oxide and hydroxide with a strong alkaline character. I think you all are aware that about the base sodium hydroxide. Am I correct? What is sodium hydroxide? Basically it is NaOH, right? It is NaOH. NaOH, sodium hydroxide, is a base. And what is sodium? Sodium is group 1 elements. So group 1 elements have tendency to form oxide and hydroxide, and which is basic in nature. For example, if I talk about sodium oxide, when you add water in sodium oxide, student, it will form sodium hydroxide. So they are known as alkali metals. Now if I talk about what? If I talk about group 2 elements, they are called alkaline earth metals. What we call them? We call them alkaline earth metal. Why we call them alkaline? The oxide of these elements are alkaline in nature, If I talk the oxides, the elements of group 2, when they are forming oxide, they are basic in nature and they are mostly found in the earth crust. That is why their name is alkaline earth metal. It is very simple. Group 13, what is the first element of group 13? That is boron. That is why it is known as boron family. It is a simple. Group 14, which is the first element in group 14? It's carbon. So that is why it is known as carbon family. Group 15 is known as nitrogen. This is very interesting. What is it is known as? It is nitrogen. Nitrogen is basically a Greek word meaning suffocation. What does it mean? It means suffocation. As the hydride of group 15, ammonia, phosphine, ASH3, they have a pungent odor and when inhaled they causes suffocation. If you inhale the hydride of group 15, they are causing what? Suffocation. That is why the elements named as nitrogens. Okay, coming to the next one, which is group number 16. What we call them? We call them chalcogen. Chalcogen in a Greek means ore forming. I think you have already studied this ore part in your class 10th. Am I correct? What is ore? These are the elements, basically the minerals from which we can extract the metal, right? जिन मिनरल से हम मेटल को एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं उन्हीं को हम ओर बोलते हैं. एंड अगर मैं ग्रुप 16 की बात करूं तो ग्रुप 16 में एलिमेंट्स कौन से आते हैं आपके? ऑक्सीजन, सल्फर एंड मेजॉरिटी ऑफ आवर मिनरल्स एंड ओर्स दे आर फ्रॉम द ऑक्साइड एंड सल्फाइड, करेक्ट? सो दैट इज व्हाई दे हैव टेंडेंसी टू फॉर्म ओर. हम क्या बोलते हैं उन्हें? वी कॉल देम एज chalcogens. Coming to the next one, which is group 17, known as halogens. In Greek, the halogen means salt producing. A salt consists of two parts, one is cation and other is anion. For example, NaCl. If you talk about NaCl, it is which salt? You all know it is table of salt, which is sodium chloride, correct? So we can see that Cl minus. You have heard about KCl, which is potassium chloride. Okay, coming to the next one, which is group 17, they are known as what? They are known as halogens. In Greek, the halogen means salt producing. A salt has how many parts? They have two parts. One is anion, other is a cation. For example, NaCl, it has two parts. One is Na plus and other is a Cl minus. So the elements in this group form the anion of salt easily. जो भी एलिमेंट ग्रुप 17 में प्रेजेंट है, दे इजिली फॉर्म द अनायन ऑफ द सॉल्ट. मतलब कहने का ये है कि ग्रुप 17 के एलिमेंट किसी भी सॉल्ट के अनायन को इजिली, दे आर द रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर अनायनिक पार्ट. दैट इज व्हाई वी कॉल देम एज halogen. Coming to the next group, which is group 18, we also call it a zero group. They are known as rare gases, inert gases, noble gases. Why? Because of their presence in a small quantity, they are known as rare gases. जो इनर्ट गैसेज है, नोबल गैसेज है, वो बहुत कम क्वांटिटी में प्रेजेंट है, इसीलिए हम उन्हें क्या बोलते हैं? रेयर गैस. ड्यू टू देयर स्टेबल कॉन्फ़िगरेशन दे आर नोन एज नोबल गैस. उनकी स्टेबल कॉन्फ़िगरेशन की वजह से हम उन्हें क्या बोलते हैं? दे आर नोबल गैसेज. एज दे हैव लिटिल टेंडेंसी टू रिएक्ट. उनकी रिएक्ट करने की भी टेंडेंसी क्या होती है? बहुत ही कम. इसीलिए हम उन्हें क्या कहते हैं? इनर्ट गैस कहते हैं. इज इट क्लियर? नाउ कमिंग टू द नेक्स्ट ग्रुप 8, 9, 10 in the D block, they are called iron trades, ferrous metal or platinum. So the 8th group, which has 3 trade, the first trade is iron, cobalt, nickel, which we call them ferrous metal. Iron, cobalt और nickel को हम क्या बोलते हैं? ferrous metal. Second and third trade, ruthenium, rhodium, palladium and osmium, iridium, platinum, they are called platinum metals. Okay. Group number 11, they are called the coinage metal. These elements have copper, silver and gold. Earlier these metal were used for making the currency in olden days. That is why they are known as a coinage metal. क्योंकि पुराने समय में हम इन एलिमेंट्स को यूज करते थे एज अ करेंसी, इसीलिए हम इन्हें क्या बोलते हैं? coinage metal. So this is all about the common names of the element. Included that group 1 element are alkali metals, group 2 are alkaline earth metals, group 13 is boron family, 14 is carbon family, 15 is nitrogen, group 16 is chalcogen, group 17 is halogen, group 18 is noble gas, rare gas we call them, or inert gas. Group 8, 9, 10 we have 3 trade. First is iron, cobalt, nickel, which is known as ferrous metal, and the other 2 trades are known as what we call them as, basically we call them as platinum metals. Group 11 is coinage metal because they were used for as a currency in the olden days, correct? Thank you.